Illini Nation? It's your man in the middle, Deon Thomas, and as always, bringing you nothing but the best. But today we went a little bit different, just a tad bit different. This young man is extraordinary. He didn't just jump into media. He decided to just start his own media thing. Now, who does that? Nobody does that normally. I mean, they normally come in, they slide in quietly and work their way up. But my man said, nah, we're not doing that. We're coming out with a bang. You got to love it. Covers Illini sports, covers high school sports today. And if Tyler, please forgive me if I pronounce your last name wrong. We got Tyler Repking with us from the Tyler Repking Media Company. There you go, big fella. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. It's Tyler Repking, but you were really close. Yes.
Repking. Okay.
I am Tyler Repking, owner of Repking Media in Topless, Illinois. Topless, T-Town. Everybody knows by the name of
T-Town.
I've been running my own media company, media business for 5 years in May. So I've put a lot of work into what I do, but I do it all for the kids aspect of it. I cover high school sports from Effingham County area. Obviously, I cover T-Town more because I went to that school and graduated in 2014. But I played baseball in high school, and ever since I started college and kind of just running this own business of mine, it's been a very successful business. So where I cover Effingham to Town, St. Anthony, Diedrich, Altamont, just Effingham County in general. But I've been growing more as a business lately because I've been trying to grow more people and a customer base. So like, for example, yesterday I was in Monticello. I actually did a feature video on Jayden Quinn, who is going to Loyola Chicago at Tuscola High School. He had 26 points and he threw down 2 dunks as well. But kid's an absolute stud. He's 6'4", 6'3", wingspan of 6'10". He can facilitate to the basket. He can shoot from the top of the key. He plays great defense. He knows when the ball is coming to him before the ball's even passed. He's got that great court vision and high IQ. So some of the big names that I've kind of interviewed, if you remember Tyra Buss from Mount Carmel, she's the same age as I am, 25. Chad Greene, Effingham High School grad, current pitcher in the New York Yankees organization. He went to Louisville University to pitch. My cousin, Danny Winkler, who pitched for the Cubs, he pitched in college. Yes, let's go. Go Cubs.
I'm a Cub fan, baby. What we going to do? You know, you in Chicago, you either Cub fan or a Sox fan. And I am not a Sox fan. I come from a house divided, though. My brothers and some of the other folks, you know, but the old heads are mainly Cub fans, you know, and then they switched over. But no, man, that's great. Let me say this. I mean, because it's not normal for, as I mentioned earlier, for someone to get into this business. And now you've been doing it, you know, say 5 years. You're 25 years old. So you've been running and providing your service to that area since you were 20. Man, that's impressive. That's impressive because not very many people, not many people even have an inkling to do that, let alone the ability to do it. So I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. So how long have you been covering the Fighting Illini? I mean, I know you've been an Illini fan all your life because you can't be from your area and not be an Illini fan. Ladies and gentlemen, it is impossible. If there's anything other than Illini Nation down in Totopolis and working its way up through central Illinois, I would be absolutely shocked. So again, how long? This has to run deep in your family.
Me and my dad are pretty big Illini fans. My family is pretty big Illini. My buddy Luke Schutte, who runs a business here in Effingham, and he and I are pretty good buddies. We've been buddies for 2 or 3 years now. And fan-wise, I've been all my life covering the Illini. This is my first or second year. My first year that I applied right before this basketball season started for the all home game media pass. I got it approved, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be on the court. This is pretty cool. So That's whenever I ran into you at the first home game,
Yep.
Jackson State, and it was pretty surreal moment for me when I saw you and saw Brian Barnhart, and I got to interview you and Brian both, of course. And that was a very very cool story because a lot of people around Effingham County here they loved hearing you and Brian talk about so many great stories in their life. Um, but no, I covering the Illini. I hope to be at more games, but for me, high school sports around here comes first before covering Illini because I have so many people in the area that follow my stuff.
Right.
T-Town and Effingham, same thing, all those schools, of course. But one thing that brings me more excitement than anything is when I get these kids on not only on my social media, on my YouTube, Facebook, all that is it get them on TV. WAND Decatur. I got buddies of mine who get the kids on TV that the hard work is me filming them and getting them as much recognition as I can. Um, but it's all about trying to bring them excitement and have me do my job to publicize and get them more recognition than anything. So um, I, have covered some pretty talented athletes. Some Jalen Quinn is the top one for me. That was a pretty big one for me yesterday. Unfortunately, he's not going to Illinois, but
We can't get them all, man. We can't
no.
get them all.
Loyola, Chicago, Northwestern, and DePaul were his three schools. I talked to his coach yesterday, and Loyola just gave him the best option. And if the 1A sectional would go through St. Anthony, which is just 12 minutes from my house, so Effingham St. Anthony, so that'd be a sectional that would be a very highly anticipated one if they get there. So, like for example, Totopolis, we have our Effingham Totopolis Christmas Classic starts today. Champaign Centennial, St. Anthony. We got schools from the Galesburg area. We got Effingham. We got Mattoon, Charleston. I mean, there's 2A, 3A, 4A. I mean, there's some serious talent in this area today, and I'm excited to cover our local teams mainly. But of course, when it comes down to it, I want to be as it's hard to be impartial to your own team, but you do what you can.
Hey, that's called being a professional. Because
Yes.
everyone knows when I'm on this podcast. Well, this is Champagne on Ice, so I can totally lean the Illini way. But when I'm on the radio, it's one of those things where you have to kind of balance that thing out.
Yeah.
When I was on Big Ten Network, you really had to balance it out. So I totally get it, man. I understand, but we will talk about what you do, and I want people, especially the Illini fans in your area, to really, the ones that don't follow you right now, we're going to make sure that they do, because I
appreciate that, Deon. Thank you.
You do a great job of covering the high school sports down there, and of course, covering the Illini. But this is mainly about Illinois, so we're gonna get more into that, and then we'll move into what you're talking about. You've covered this team. So what have you seen so far that you like about this Illinois team? I mean, because we've had some ups and downs, of course. We had the COVID, not COVID, but we had illnesses, flus at the beginning. We've had injuries at the beginning, even a suspension at the beginning. To fight through adversity, I believe, really tells you who you are. It'll tell you if you got guts or if you don't have guts. But what you've seen so far, I would love to hear your thoughts. I love to hear the thoughts of the media. So let's go, baby.
Well, I've been to the Jackson State, the Rutgers, and the Arizona game. I'd say one thing: I have not seen a shooter Illinois has ever had, a lefty shooter, and Alfonso Plummer. That kid can shoot almost 50% from three. Whew, man, he's going to be tough to stop in the Big Ten if he shoots that shooting in the Big Ten. Frazier and Plummer, your 1-2 perimeter shooters, love them. I think this is the deepest and best team Illinois basketball's ever had. I think I don't know.
Oh, I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting you're 25. Okay.
I'm 25, so this is me kind of like the younger generation.
Wow.
Well, Dad talked about the flying Illini and all that,
Of course. That's
but
because your dad is smart. Listen to
yeah.
him, young man. Listen to him.
So for me, watching the team play, and by the way, I hope Corbello comes back sooner than later. I know he's dealing with the concussion and what's going on with him, but we get Corbello back, Andre Corbello, and we are that much of a better team. And people don't realize how good this team can be. You got Plummer, you got Frazier, you got Granderson, you got Coleman Hawkins, and you got Kofi, and you still got your freshman players, Pazinski, you got Goody, and RJ Melendez. You talk about a team of shooters, but you also talk about a team that has really great defenders, and DeMonte Williams is a great defender. Um, DeMonte is a guy who can shoot threes as well. So
Yeah.
people,
Second in the nation last year.
yeah, we
So,
have the best 3-point shooting team in the nation right now,
yep.
and that is a very going into Big Ten. That's huge. And for me, as a media guy, I would rather not be ranked at all.
And that's one of those things. Everyone, especially the players, the
Yeah,
coaches don't care. I can tell you right now, the coaches could care less whether they ever have a ranking this year, as long as when you get this thing going and rolling, that you're playing. I mean, if you look at Illinois' losses, I mean, man, they lost to 3 really good teams
yeah.
that still have solid records. So the so-called experts, I still don't understand what they're looking at, but that's okay. I'm with you. It doesn't matter. Keep letting them fly under the radar. You listen to everybody who, of course, Minnesota is the next Big Ten game that's on the shelf. And you listen to these guys talk about, oh, yeah, Minnesota. Man, Minnesota hasn't played anybody. So, of course, they haven't lost to anyone because they haven't played anyone. I mean, if I had a cream cup schedule, I wouldn't have lost either. But for Illinois, and this is what Coach said, he kind of went the Tom Izzo route when he put this schedule together. Wanted to bring in tough teams because in the end, that will show you who you are. We talk about adversity, and you're struggling with adversity when you're playing a team like Arizona. I mean, with 3 guys that they are saying could possibly go in the lottery, not 3 guys that could possibly play in the league. We're talking about 3 guys that will possibly can go to the lot in the lottery. I mean, that'll tell you how good that team is. And, you've listened to some of the pundits and they've talked about how that's a championship level team. Even coaches said that. So I say all that to say this, where they've gone and where they've been and where they're going is 2 totally different places. And Brad Underwood teams are always better later. So I'm expecting the same thing from this team. But you mentioned some really key players. As you saw, player of the week this week is our big fella, who I think is the most dominant player in the country, Kofi Cockburn. I mean, you've seen his development. I mean, man, just the growth in this young man's game.
I mean, he's 7 foot 290, and when's the last time Illinois basketball has had this big of a man?
Never.
Exactly.
We've only had one other guy that I know of, even on campus, because contrary to what people know, and you, because you weren't alive then, or maybe you were.
Well, I was born in 1996.
No, you weren't. You weren't even alive then. We had another guy come on a campus visit that was just as big, named Shaquille O'Neal. But eventually,
I remember that story you told me about. Yep.
Yes. But eventually, he chose LSU over Illinois. But man, if me and the big fella could have played together, that's why I love Kofi. But yeah, go ahead. Yo, I'm sorry, I cut you off, man.
No,
you're
good.
right.
You're good.
Never.
You're good.
We've never had anyone wear an orange and blue uniform the size of this young man. But his game has just continued to elevate.
I'll tell you one thing that's really improved is his jump shot. His perimeter, when you saw the game against Missouri, I watched that whole game from start to finish. And one thing that sticks out to me I know people talk about the NBA, this and that. Well, number one, you got to focus on your game. You got to put the work in. If you want to be successful, you got to keep putting the work in. And Kofi, the thing that makes him such a double threat is not only does he post up well and works on his fundamentals, but he can drive to the basket now. Um, he make his free throws are pure, and he's really improved on that. They may not go in every time, but he when he's at the 3-point line, which I mean, for God forbidden he shouldn't be, but down in the post, the thing when he's faking a shot, people come to him,
Yes.
forcing pressure, kick it out to Plummer, Frazier, Granderson, or Coleman Hawkins, or whoever's on the court. But if when it comes down to last 5 seconds of the game, who am I giving the ball to right now? Kofi. If he's being double teamed, give it to Plummer or give it to Frazier.
Right.
And so I mean, if you look at the stats, Plummer and Frazier are leading the team in field goals, besides Kofi. So, but on the defensive side, Granderson and Coleman Hawkins are the two of the best, and DeMonte are three of the best defenders on the team, without a doubt. So,
Agreed.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. I mean, we call those glue guys. I did had a conversation earlier with another guest, and my wife always called them Johnnies. She was like, "Yeah, I need a Johnny. I need a Johnny." And Johnny is the is that mom?
Yep, that's my mom.
Hey, mom, how are you doing? Welcome to the Champagne on Ice. I know she can't hear you.
She can't hear me. Yeah, she's right behind me though. Say hi
Tell her I
back.
said, "Welcome to the show."
She says, "Welcome to the show."
See, this is why I love live taping. So now we got mom in the video as well. Should have brought mom on and asked her a couple questions about Illini basketball.
Yeah, she doesn't watch it enough. She just listens to what I say.
There you go. See, even more pub for you. She should have been like, "Oh,
Yep.
well, Tyler said," and let that thing just go. But no, I have to agree with you. What he has become, and has a Kofi, that is what he has become as a player, is an extension of some of those, what the coaching staff has been telling them, and two, when he went into the draft and he was able to have those conversations with GMs and scouts, and they told him the things that he needed to do. And you talk about this kid's work ethic. If you listen to Coach Underwood or the staff, they all say this kid has never had a bad day. And he has not had a bad day, one, because of his personality. It's just so jovial. The kid is always happy, always smiling, but he's always bringing his hard hat. And you could see the work that he's put in with Coach O, with Coach Antigua, who's now at Kentucky, but has continued that same work with Jeff Alexander. You mentioned him being able to catch and rip and put the ball on the floor. He has shown that in multiple games. The ability to be able to step out and knock down that 12 to 15 jump shot. He hasn't taken very many of them, but the ones he's taken, he's knocked down, and they look really good coming off of his hand. So you can see the improvement in the work that he's put in on his shooting. But the biggest thing, and you nailed it right on the head, his free throws. Just about every free throw that comes off that young man's hand looks great.
Oh, phenomenal.
It looks like money. So that shows me that he's been putting in the work. Two, that shows me that he has developed a touch that he can expand his range on his jump shot. Now, once he continues to do that and he continues to grow, I mean, this young fella, man, there's nothing. He's already the most dominant player in the post. I had some people tell me sometimes, well, the guy from Arizona blocked this shot. I'm like, you tell me a basketball player that's played the game of basketball that's never had his shot blocked. I just don't. There's not one. This is what happens in the game. But that kid, but Kofi controlled the middle of that. Once he got himself, reacclimated to, oh my God, somebody actually blocked my shot, because that doesn't happen often. So contrary to what people think.
How would you like a 7'2", 290 kid coming at you?
You know how many times I've had people ask me, hey, what do you? I'm like, man, there's no way I wouldn't have been able to defend Kobe. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
No one can defend Kobe. And I'm not gonna lie and say, oh yeah, I could defend Kobe. Come on, man. I'm 6'8". At my heaviest, I was 240. There's no way in the world. None.
Yeah, no, not a chance.
None. That's like when we played LSU. I didn't defend. Somebody told me that they were like, man, you did a great job defending Shaquille O'Neal when you played LSU. I didn't defend Shaquille O'Neal maybe once. Maybe once. My job wasn't to do that. My job was to put the ball in the basket. So Andy Petty was defending Shaquille O'Neal, not me. There would be somebody else defending Kofi Coburn. It would not be me. My job is putting the ball in the basket, man. You don't become the all-time dude playing too much defense. Uh-oh, coach, I'm sorry. Coach Henson yelled at me about not playing defense multiple times.
Oh my gosh. Let me ask you this. Think about this. Excuse me. When Carmelo comes back, what do you think as far as the strength of this team? Of course, with him, ball handler, and giving the ball to Frazier or to Plummer, and then getting it inside to Kofi. How do you, since you've been game planning every game without Carmelo, how do you game plan the back into him playing again?
Well, I mean, a lot of that is going to be on Andre Curbelo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knows what his role is.
Yeah.
And just
it's
because
not I would assume it play. I'll tell you right now.
Because he's been out, his role has not changed. His role is going to be the exact same. Everyone on this team, I believe, have an understanding of what their job is. So his job is going to be the same. And it is going to start off, hey, as a distributor, you're our best guy at getting the ball to people when they're on the court. So that part will continue. You know, he'll still bring back that flair that he's been missing, because he is the flair guy. He's the one that gives the fun part when he's out there on the court, and he'll still be that. You know, how is he going to fit in? I think he's going to fit in even better, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Because I think at the beginning of the year, he was pressing too much. You know, he was trying to fill the shoes, the really, really big shoes that were left by Ayo Dosunmu's ascension to the NBA. And I think he was really focusing on what was being said about him, what was being said to him by, people in the media and all of those things. And I think he will come back after seeing the success of this team and how it plays, how the ball is flowing and moving, and he will fit right in.
I don't think people, yeah, I agree 100% with you on that one. I will say this, that I was talking to my people in T-Town just a couple of days ago, and think about what this team can do if he comes back on the court. Think about how good this team will be. And the Big Ten starts on Sunday night, hoping to God we play. But
fingers
yes,
crossed.
exactly
I'm supposed to be in Minnesota, so fingers crossed.
Deon, I'll tell you this, that if we're gonna win, I know we got freshmen coming in, I know we got a stat class coming in, but I feel like if we're gonna win, this is the year to do it.
Well, I mean, when you have someone like Kofi, he gives
that's what I'm saying. Yes.
He gives you a decisive advantage. With the NBA being the way it is, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he's back next year.
Well, I've been hearing there's no NBA mock draft picks that have him in the board at all.
Right. And that's my point. Wow. There's the difference between what the NBA was then and what the NBA is now. So with NIL and all of these things now in place, this could possibly be the chance for him outside of playing in Europe or something like that to make the most money from the NIL. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's back. I hope the so-called experts are smart enough to understand that this young man, this is now year 6 of him playing basketball, period, that the upside of what he could bring to your team is, he could bring some stuff to your team and he can really help you. And this isn't just basketball stuff, but it's all of that combined: attitude, leadership, basketball, all of that stuff in a nutshell he could bring to the team. But, NBA mentality is that they can always find someone like that. But again, the game has shifted. So I do recognize and understand that. But this young man, for people that take the time to get to know him and get to see his development, will understand what he can and possibly will be at the next level. But your question started off on with Andre Curbelo coming back. I think the time that the freshmen have gotten, I mean, if you look at Pods right now, Pozinski, he played a lot more the last couple of games, looked really good. We all know he can shoot the ball. As he continues to grow and catch up with the speed of the game, he'll turn into that player that was Wisconsin's Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, Mr. Basketball.
Exactly. And the way Luke Goody has been playing. I mean, Luke is good. Luke is ready for this level. I mean, no doubt in my mind, he and RJ Melendez are ready for this level. And Potts is a little bit behind. But, Granderson has really stepped up and found his niche. And you mentioned Alfonso Plummer, man. Trent is, Trent's a staple. I mean, that we know what we're going to get from Trent. And it's always going to be, hard work and the ability to be able to score, because that's what he was coming out of high school. And that's what the kid has always been. But he's also going to be our best defender, best on-ball defender on the floor. So, this team is going to be better. We're already, I can't understand how the experts think that there are 25 teams in this country that are better than Illinois, but that's okay. Keep them down there. Don't worry.
Let me ask you this, Deon. No, you're exactly right. You got to go out and play. That's all you got to do. Let me ask you this: do you think? I was watching the post game the other night against Missouri on the Big Ten Network, and I was watching Trent Meacham talk, and then his Trey guy. What Big Ten team has the biggest chance to beat Illinois? And I'm going to tell you right now. People say this team will. I say the only reason why. Okay, they say Purdue, and I agree with them. Yes, but if Kofi can be Kofi, he can stop the 7-foot guy in the post. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you this, and first of all, I agree with you, and I agree with them, and there's a key word in there that I am going to grab onto that people are saying, the chance. Yeah, every team in the Big Ten has a chance of derailing anyone. That's why it's the Big Ten. We're the best league in the country. In my opinion, Illinois is the best team in the Big Ten, and should be, Big Ten regular season as well as Big Ten tournament champions. They're the best team. Now, Purdue is formidable. But let's just be honest. Zach Edey, who's a good player, is not a Kofi Cockburn. I'm sorry. He's just so much bigger than everyone else. And he's taller than Kofi. But his skill level is not there. His ability to get up and down the court is not there. The one that really gives me pause is Travion Williams. Travion Williams, and it's because of his skill level. It's because of all of the things that he can do.
Up here. Yep.
Exactly. That really gives me pause. But at the same time, Travion's 6'7". And I'm sorry, we got some trees, we got some shot blockers that could make his job more difficult. Yeah, I think on the perimeter, and the kid, what's the other kid's name? Ivy. Jordan Ivy is great. And he is going to be an excellent NBA player. But I believe we match up. Yeah, but I believe we match up so well with them, meaning Purdue, but I don't think Purdue matches up well with us. And that's the problem. And I don't think any other team, in the Big Ten match up well against Illinois. So if Illinois comes out and they're on their game, they win the game. If they come out and they turn the ball over or they half-ass on defense or something like that, then they lose. But in a head-to-head best for best, there's not very many teams, if any, in the Big Ten that I believe can hang with this Illinois team. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree with that. the non-conference schedule, we finished 9-3 before tomorrow's game got canceled out. So we start the conference play Sunday night in Minnesota. And whenever I was speaking to Underwood in the media room a couple weeks ago, he's saying how after the Arizona game, guys, we're going to be a good team. We just haven't practiced. We haven't practiced as a full team. And he's right. And I was listening to you talk to him. I was listening to Brian talk to him. This team has so much potential. It's literally like just go out and take care of business, you know. But day in and day out, they got to be fully healthy. That's the key, being healthy. And you got Michigan. You got to deal with Wagner, or you know what I'm talking about. Yes, Davidson. Yes, Wagner's graduated. My bad. And
Thank God, both of their asses are gone.
Yes. He was a pain in the butt.
Don't need neither one of their asses around. Get them both out of here.
Nope. And then you got Ohio State TJ Liddell, who's a great player, and Dwayne Washington's not there anymore because he almost single-handedly took care of Illinois in the Big Ten tournament championship game, which that was just unreal what he did. And then Iowa, going to Iowa, beating them. I tell you what, this team, the way we come together when we need to, and as you see all the time, Kofi, Coleman Hawkins, Frazier, all them hugging at the half court line. They're a family, and I think that once you get to Big Ten play, of course, as Charles Barkley always says, well, is it the best conference? Is the ACC the best conference? Is the Pac-12 the best conference? I think the Big Ten is one of the best conferences in the national, in the nationwide. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh no, definitely. That go now. The only issue I would say, and I wouldn't, if you look at the last couple of tournaments when the Big Ten has basically ran through everyone else, and then they got to the tournament and they've lost and have not done well. But this is one of the things I tell people, man. That does not take away from how good those teams are. I mean, when you get to the tournament, that is a horse of a different color. You have to be at your best every time you step onto the court. And trust me, you got a guy here that got knocked, that never made it super far in the tournament, and we had good teams. Both times we went into the tournament, we were ranked, and we lost to a lower seeded team. But that wasn't because, we weren't good. We just weren't good enough that day. And that's kind of what the Big Ten has been dealing with. But if you go back and you look at not this year with the Gavitt games, because we kind of got our tails handed to us by the Big East. But if you look at the ACC Challenge, we won it the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, the Gavitt games, and we've done well in those games as well. But the thing about the Big Ten is, and this is what sets it aside from other conferences, we're tough from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you go to the ACC, SEC, Pac-12, even the Big 12, your first 3 teams probably really tough. And then after that, you have this humongous drop off of talent. It's not like that in the Big Ten. And I think that's what the overall depth of the Big Ten is, what makes it as good as it is. And with Illinois, in my opinion, sitting at the top of that heap, everybody else is on Purdue right now, which is fine. Stay on Purdue because they're a great team. They got a great coaching staff.
I want that to happen. Keep it. Yep, absolutely.
Yes. And I love Matt. Keep it going exactly the way they want for Matt and for the rest of those guys. That's completely fine by me. But yeah, your question was Big Ten best conference? Yes, in my opinion. And I think it will be, and it stays that way. We have some of the, if not the best coaches in college basketball. We definitely have a lot of them that would be ranked in that top 10 of best coaches. So yeah, we're definitely one of the best conferences, and Illinois is at the top of that heap in the Big Ten. So hopefully, I'm praying that this game, is pulled off on Tuesday, Sunday, and that everyone is and stays healthy. And then they turn around and play Tuesday. So I'm really hoping, because they're so close together. Don't want to have to start rescheduling games and moving games around. But this COVID thing is real, man, and it's starting to affect not just college basketball, but you see all the cancellations in the NBA. You're seeing all not cancellation
NFL,
because
everything.
they say, yeah, NFL say we're not canceling games, but you're just gonna have to sit people out. As we move forward, and this is one you've covered high schools, you cover mainly high school sports. Is that wrecking? Is it causing an issue down at the high school level as well? I would assume that it is, but like my mom always said, if you know what assumptions do, make an ass out of you and me. So I guess I better ask somebody the question that's down there covering it on a day-to-day basis.
Well, actually, we just had Champaign St. Thomas More. They last Wednesday, they announced that they were supposed to come down to our tournament, but they had COVID protocols, so they couldn't play. So we got a team. Excuse me. We got a team filled in Wednesday, Thornton out of Galesburg area, and they came in and filled the spot. For example, the girls basketball, the Charleston Holiday Tournament up in Charleston. They had to. We were supposed to play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now it's not. They didn't play any games yesterday due to COVID issue. So now it's just today and tomorrow. And T-Town girls play Effingham tomorrow at 2:00. Which, if they would have played at noon tomorrow, I would have been there to cover the county battle. But since it's at 2, I can't be there because we got too many local teams playing at the boys' Christmas tournament here. There's tournaments galore around Effingham County and the areas this week. I mean, we're just glad to be back and playing because last year we didn't get this chance to cover it and be a part of it all. So, and all the swing of things, I hope nothing gets any worse. But I'm gonna hold my breath for what I can.
Stay optimistic. We're gonna stay optimistic. That's what we're gonna do because it's I'm hoping it does not creep back to the levels of last season. I don't know. I enjoy having people in the stands. I enjoy hearing the crowd.
Oh, the stands are phenomenal. The Orange Crush, you can't beat it.
No, and the way it was last year, brother. No, I'm not. I would not be looking forward to that. But I do not think we'll go back to that level. Thank God this Omicron version of COVID is not as deadly. Yes. It is more contagious, but it's not as deadly as the previous rendition. So hopefully that will be able to keep us, of course, with protections and everything. As a matter of fact, I got a 10:00 meeting with our department about some of the new protocols coming up. So hopefully that's not an issue as we move forward.
I was wanting to ask, I got 2 questions. Number one, Illinois, they won was it 17 or 18 Big Ten games this past year? I forgot how many it was, but
20.
I'm sorry, 20. I don't know why I said 17.
Well, no, I'm counting the tournament. You're right. It was 17.
Was it 17? Okay. Over under this year, Deon, do you think that they win 17 or more?
If we play them?
Well, if we can get them all in.
If we play them, I do believe so. I believe that we will win at least that many. I mean, I don't think there are teams, again, as I mentioned, that match up well against us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would like to go with the over on that. It's a little difficult to say with this current COVID situation, and there's going to have to be some rescheduling of games, as you've seen. Michigan, some other teams have already had to cancel games, and those will have to be rescheduled. So we'll see. But I think it's over. I think that this team is as good as advertised earlier this year. And we've had 3 close losses, with the exception of one, to 3 really good teams.
That Arizona, the non-conference, that Arizona team. I'll switch back to the Big Ten here in a second, but that Arizona kid, the Kerr kid, that kid's phenomenal. That kid can shoot. Like, he outside when we had him down and they came back. And Underwood said in the post game pretty clear that those you see 3 NBA elite players, that Kirk kid's one of them. And oh my Lord, he just couldn't be stopped. And what the thing that he provided was, he not only did he shoot well and defend well, but he attacked the glass, and he's so quick on the inside. You get him within the free throw line, he couldn't be stopped. So, and then real quick back to the Big Ten, I think that I think that this team is capable if we get the Big Ten games in and no causes of stoppage. 17 is for me that's under. I think we can win 20 games. I really do. I think we can get to that point of okay, this team is almost unbelievably like you watch them. They play as a team, unlike some other teams. Or they have just one player, two players. We have a full team that can play. So that's what makes this team so deadly. And the second question I had for you is, you mentioned the test and the regulation thing. So people say like, do you get vaccinated? The negative test. I mean, do you walk in now and do you actually like 72 hours? How is that going to work out for you guys as far as the media department?
Well, I mean, I know all of us are tested, and to be honest, I can't. I mean, I'm not tested. I should say, and I shouldn't even ask for people's vaccination status. I don't know. I am fully vaccinated, but if it goes anything like it did last year, then they'll limit the number of media personnel.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. I don't know if we're at that point, and it'll be interesting to see because it just has not been handed down yet as to what's going to happen. As I mentioned, for our department in athletics, I got a meeting coming up today, where we are going to, be given the new protocols. So I don't know what they are yet as far as, us in that situation. But I'm sure if there's anything taking place, there'll be some things taking place with the media pretty soon. Now, what that's going to be, I have absolutely no idea. None whatsoever. So we'll see. But before we move on to the next topic, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now is the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. Now that basketball season has tipped off, get in the action by joining betrivers.com. So, as I said, get in the action. Go to betrivers.com today or download BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, Tyler, as I mentioned earlier, you cover a lot of the high school sports, mainly in your area. But I know you have been keeping an eye on the state because you have to in your position. As you mentioned, Illinois has 3 guys coming in next year. What do you think about the 3, especially the kid out of Thornridge? Oh my God! Here I'm forgetting his name.
Ty Rodgers.
Yes. What do you think about, and have you had an opportunity in covering any of the tournaments to watch Ty play? But in general, what do you think about the 3 players that are coming in? Because all 3 of them are lights out.
Well, Ty Rodgers is a 6'4", 6'6".
6'6", yeah.
6'6". People say actually. I was at a girls' game over at St. Anthony just the other night, and my buddy who officiated the game watched him play, and he actually officiated his game up in Springfield for a tournament. And he told me, and I've watched some video on him on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
My buddy Mike Bell, who's from the Charleston area, said that he thinks that kids he's a special athlete. He reminds him similar to remember Brian Randall.
Wow.
The thing about him is he's so strong, and he can play post. He can shoot from the top of the key. But Brian obviously provided the presence of go left, make him go right, and and the other 2 guys. Who was the other 2 guys again? I forgot the names.
Sincere,
and then crap.
I looked at the names. They're not in your area, so I don't need you to see everything on them. Don't worry. But the bad thing, I should know that. I should know that. So Illini Nation, forgive me. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. So,
well, the thing about it is we have one of the top recruiting classes in the nation. Okay,
yeah.
For a reason. All right. Ty Rodgers is. I was hoping to see him play this year, but I don't know if I will or not. But anyway, this is a potential. Underwood is doing a tremendous job with bringing in these young kids, and when it comes down to it, I in the Big Ten, besides Illinois, I don't know as far as the talent level that people have coming up. I haven't really focused on that as much as I have for Illinois, of course, my team. As Brian says before, that I'm a fan before I'm a media guy, and I am a fan before a media guy. But when I'm on the court, I do my job as far as evaluating how these players are, and I think that you'll get a better taste of them as you get into February, March, because then they'll be on campus more. They'll be able to watch them play more and stuff like that. So that's my take on it. But I'm I have high hopes for Ty Rodgers.
Yeah, well, those three players, Illini Nation, as I mentioned, I am drinking my coffee this morning, so my brain is somewhat active, just not as active as it normally would be. There's Ty Rodgers, Jayden Epps, and
Jayden Epps, yes,
and Sincere Harris. So all 4-star athletes, even though I am not one of these people that buy into the number of stars that's next to your name, these three kids fit what Brad Underwood does. And that's what I like even more. These are Brad Underwood type recruits. These are kids that are skilled. They are tough. All three of them can shoot the basketball. And as you talked about with Ty Rodgers, he brings a different element that I don't think we've had also for a while at Illinois. This is not a kid. He's already at 6'6", 200 and some odd pounds, ready to play college basketball. I mean, his athleticism is I won't say off the charts, but he's a very good athlete. And one of the things I like most about him is, and this is reports, I have not seen him play yet, but thank God I still got enough people in this city that I can call and say, hey, what do you think about this Ty Rodgers kid? This is a kid that wants to defend the toughest player on the other team. You know, that's not normal. You know, you especially when you're somebody that's ranked as high as he is. I think he's within the top 50 in the country or just outside of the top 50 in the country. Those guys want to be the prima donnas normally. And this kid fits, as I said, the everyday guy mentality that Brad Underwood has put in place. I mean, and you talked about it earlier. You mentioned it earlier about how when someone's at the free throw line, you got all these guys standing and hugging one another. When you see the other teams and they're standing separate or walking around or not really being in or showing their camaraderie, this is what Brad Underwood preaches and this is what he does. And I think these three guys fit right into that. You know, Ty Rodgers being here, as I mentioned, Jayden Epps, who is a heck of a player, another kid, on his own that can put the ball in the basket, that plays, both the point guard as well as the shooting guard at 6'2". And Sincere Harris is an athlete, man. I've heard people compare him to a Luther Head. If this kid is half as good as Luther Head was for us,
dominating,
man, then he's going to be really doggone good. So these three guys, and then the kid that's transferring back, and I always forget his name, that went to Baylor and wanted to come back. Who will be on campus, if I'm not mistaken, second semester. So he'll have an entire semester to work out and practice with the team. He can't play, but to work out with the team, and even more so to work out with Adam Fletcher. Adam Fletcher is the best strength and conditioning guy in the country. And this kid needs someone like Fletch to help him get his body in shape. Because
have you seen Plummer yet? Yeah.
Oh, not just Plum. I mean, I tell everyone, when I watched Ayo Dosunmu from the time he walked into high school to the time he exited Illinois, and I'm still watching him. I watched him last night. him and Malcolm Hill. So we had two Illini playing last night. But to watch this kid's body from freshman year to sophomore year, and you could see a tremendous difference. And then from sophomore to junior year, even a bigger difference in this kid's body. Now, everybody's not an Ayo Dosunmu. Everybody's not as focused as that kid is. But if you can get half of what that kid did or what Fletch did for him, man, the kid that's coming from Baylor is going to be lights out for us. He's going to fill right in after Kofi leaves. You know, now is he a 4? Is he a 5? He's only about 6'7", but he reminds me a lot and even more skilled than Travion Williams. And that's scary for the rest of the Big Ten as well. So this year, this next recruiting class, you're right. They knocked it out of the park with Luke Goody, with Padinsky, and with RJ Melendez. I think this next class, including the transfer, might be even better. So Illinois is on the rise. Man. Illinois is on the rise.
Let me ask you this, Deon. I know we haven't really mentioned his name a whole lot, but I know he's had games, had good games, had bad games. But Omar Payne, I wanted to see what your thoughts on, because I wanted to bring this up that he's not a big time scorer, but he does provide time in there for Kofi when he needs a break.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I was high on Omar when he came in, and I am still high on Omar.
Yeah.
I don't blame Omar for not having developed as Kofi has. You know, when they came out of high school, he was ranked above Kofi. So you see the potential of what is there. He is by far the best athlete on the team. I mean, this kid's leaping ability and speed is there.
Oh, it's outrageous.
Exactly. So I blame Florida for not developing him, because listening to the coaching staff, the kid's a sponge and he hangs around and he's always asking questions. He does what is asked of him, you know. So I love what he will be or what he can be. I don't need him to put up points. We really don't. We got enough guys that can score the basketball. What I'd love to see him do is what he's doing. A little bit more and more aggressiveness and add to it, but that'll come with learning and getting stronger with Adam Fletcher, and those things will come. Defend the rim, because he's a hell of a shot blocker. Grab every rebound you can. You know, that was a game where he had 0 field goal attempts. He had 7 rebounds in 10 minutes. And that was a 10 minutes he played. And he had 7 rebounds. And 4 of them were offensive rebounds. That's the stat line we need from him to have this year.
Uh-huh.
You know, and just play a little bit more physical, more aggressive. But, you know, again, that's something you have to get used to. Right now, he's not used to that. But I think by the end of this year, I shouldn't say by the end, but going towards the end of this year, we will continue to see improvement from him. You know, you mentioned him, but Benjamin Bosman Verdonk
too. There's so many kids on this team that you can talk about.
Has really stepped in and has given that physicality on the inside, playing hard, not being afraid to hit anyone. But again, you look at his body as opposed to the body of Omar Payne.
Mm-hmm.
That kid's jacked. I got, you know, there's 3 older ladies that I talk to at every game. And I shouldn't call them older, because she's going to get mad at me now because she listens to this podcast. We're not older, but they call him Benjamin Verhunk. Because, but when you look at this kid's body and where it came from as a freshman to where he is right now, man, it's crazy. Lisa, don't be upset with me, darling. I did not mean the older comment, you know, but more experienced. So yeah, we're gonna be, you know, this team is on the rise, and you know, so and that's the great thing about it. And this is why I say, yeah, don't rank us. Don't rank us. Even when we,
I would rather not be ranked. So I feel like we play better not being ranked.
Oh, well, you know what it is. Again, it was what we talked about. Brad Underwood teams get better as time goes on.
Correct. Yes.
People look at what he does offensively and defensively and say, oh my God, but it's so simple. He should be there's a lot of concepts in there and places you have to be both offensively and defensively for things to work and run smooth. And that comes with time and learning. You can't put a whole bunch of new people on the floor and say, oh yeah, run my offense and my defense the way you want to. But hey, we haven't really had time to practice together. Oh wow, we've been sick, we've been injured, and then things just come out and click. And you have to take the why into account. And why didn't they click and do the things, the way people want them to do? God, they haven't had people to practice with. I remember that one of the first games, we asked Coach, who's the start? Who's in the starting lineup? I mean, not Coach, I'm sorry. We asked Joey Biggs, who's in the starting lineup? Joey was like, we don't know yet. And this, you have to have your roster in 30 minutes before the game starts. And they didn't know because they didn't know who was going to be able to play, who was sick, who was injured, and there's not very many teams that had to deal with that early on. I mean, there's some that have to deal with it now, but that's why this Illinois team is going to be a lot better as we move forward.
I was gonna say when Curbelo comes back, so you got Curbelo, Frazier, Plummer, Coleman Hawkins. Do you start DeMonte, Coleman Hawkins, or do you start DeMonte, Granderson, and Kofi, of course?
Well, when Curbelo comes back, I don't know if you start him right away. Yeah, I don't believe
that's what I'm thinking. Give him some time, maybe.
Yeah, you have to give him time. One, because you can work out and do, and I don't know how limited he's been on working out, but you cannot simulate game speed. And so he's going to need time to work himself back in there. But when he's up and he's ready to go, I don't believe you take Alfonso Plummer out of that lineup.
Can't. He's too good of a shooter.
He's vital now. And what you've seen some of the adjustments that this team has made. They got Granderson in one corner, they got Plummer in another corner, and then they're entering the ball into Kofi. So you can't double from Plummer. So that'll create some one-on-ones for Kofi to play. And he has already shown the ability that if you double team him, he will make the cross-court pass. Now you got Trent, who's going to be in the slot on the other side, and then you got Granderson in the corner, or vice versa. Yep. That pick your poison. Pick your poison. Either you're gonna have a mouse in the house because they're gonna have to defend Kofi one-on-one, and as Big Shaq say, it's gonna be barbecue chicken time, or you got the kickouts to the corners for great shooters. I mean, these guys are shooting over 40% from the 3-point line, both Granderson and Plummer, and Trent is right up there, and everyone knows that Trent can heat up in a heartbeat and give you.
He did against Missouri.
Exactly. And he just goes along, he plays, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 you get 3-4 threes on your head, in the drop of a hat. So teams are going to have to pick their poison, and then that's going to be very difficult for teams moving forward.
Underwood even said that Plummer's the best shooter he's ever had.
He's one of the best shooters I've ever seen, other than guys in the NBA. That kid that's playing out there in Golden State, he's a pretty good shooter. During my time, there was the Ray Allens and, of course, the Reggie Millers. Man, but this kid, he has he got a flame.
Catch shoot.
Exactly. He had a flame thrower. And the thing is, he's not just a shooter. He can score. He's shown the ability to get to the basket and finish with his left hand as well as his right hand. I'll tell you this. You mentioned the draft boards earlier. If this kid was 6'5", he'd be a lottery pick.
Oh yeah, he's only 6 foot, 6'1".
Yeah, 6'1". He's 6'1" on his best day. But there's always a spot for a guy that can light it up. And that dude is. I wouldn't even call him a microwave. He's like solar power or something. And I mean, he's just going all the time. So, yeah, man, this team is going to be lights out.
What Frazier said in the post game when talking to Brian last week, he couldn't have said it any better. We can be an elite team, but we don't want to be elite. We want to be great. And what I like about Frazier is he's a leader, and that shows his senior leadership.
Oh yeah, I mean Trent there's not enough words to describe what Trent has been to the University of Illinois. Of course, Io coming from Chicago and saying that he was going to stay home and do the things that he did were monumental for Illinois and for Illini Nation. Trent came in under a different coach, could have very easily have gone somewhere else once Coach Underwood came in, but he stayed and he stuck it out. And he showed a loyalty for the universe, for the orange and blue that most people would not have done. You know, he will go down, not just because of his points and the things that he's done, but he will go down as one of the Illini greats because of that, you know, and sticking around, being loyal. You know how we're in the state of Illinois. We're loyal people. We're loyal to a fault sometimes. But that kid stayed around, did his job, and has done his job, and has done nothing but continuously gotten better as a player, as a leader for this team. And he's the epitome of what a Brad Underwood everyday guy is, he and DeMonte. So, I mean, they'll go down as two of the Illini greats. But Trent, because of his scoring ability, I mean, he's creeping up the board, man. I think he's in the top 10 now.
Oh, yeah. Yes, 100%. I wanted to bring this up to you. So, do you know where Albany, Illinois is at?
Of course I do.
Right?
I was a JUCO coach, man, for 5 years. We played Albany. Stop playing. Of course. Shout out to Albany.
Albany, the home of the white squirrels, you know?
You know.
You're probably not going to believe this.
Let me stop you, Tyler. You know how much love I got in Southern Illinois, man. I love my Southern Illinois folks.
Yes.
Where do I not know where Olney is? I should pop you upside your head. Of course I know where Olney is.
Some people are like, is it Olney or is it Olney?
It's Olney, man. Stop playing. All right, I got the correct. Hey, I know I am north of 80. So I asked and got the correct pronunciation before I stepped down there.
Yes.
I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. I ask questions. Is it pronounced this or this? And then you got it right. The home of the white squirrels.
Well, you want to know something crazy? They have there's a 7th grader at Olney. Yeah, his name is Casey Mitchell. He's 6'8". And they have yes, correct. Yes. And they have a 6th grader. They have two 7th graders, 6'6", 6'8", and they are rated apparently. I didn't even know they could rate junior high kids in the state, but according to in the state, they're ranked 5th in the state. The Mitchell kids ranked 5th in the state, and he's 6'8". They're 6'6", 6'8", one of those, yeah.
All right, now see, as the resident guy that's down there, I'm putting you to work. Have you sent those names to the basketball office?
I have mentioned it to a few people. I have not talked to. I want to talk with Whitman in the media room when I get a chance to talk to him again, or Underwood.
Well, he doesn't recruit. What are you talking about?
I know, but it's nice. It's nice.
No. Okay, hear me out. You need to send those names to the assistant coaches. Send it in an email and say, "Hey, Tyler Repking, I cover Southern Illinois sports. Got a couple kids you need to take a look at. They're in 7th grade right now, but they're 6'8". Come on, man! Before they end up in Purdue, you know, Matt Painter always go and find some big kid somewhere.
Oh my God!
We can't have.
I need to get on the recruiting office. I know.
Exactly. That's a name you got to send those. Better yet, send them to me, and I'll pass them along.
Oh my God, dude! Like when I first heard that, I was like, "It's a 7th grader, 6'6" and 6'8". You just never hear that."
Heck no, you don't. And I know right now he can't walk and chew bubble gum because I used to be one of those people. He's gonna look gangly and uncoordinated, but so what? You can't teach 6'8" in 7th grade, especially
no, absolutely not. But when I got the message about it, and I was heading up to Havana to cover our T-Town girls 8th grade playing for the state title, and I was just like, oh my God. And I never got a chance to see a picture of him. And I haven't seen these kids play yet. I'm going to here hopefully next year or this year yet. They're
And
supposed
you
to come to
got to let
T-Town
me
and
know
play
how
this
they
year.
look.
Yes, I will definitely do that. I'll shoot you a text. Don't worry.
Okay.
They were supposed to come to T-Town and play, but T-Town boys had 21 kids out sick due to the influenza A. So,
Wow.
yeah, it hit us hard. And so anyway, people were texting me left and right that Monday morning when we were supposed to play them, saying, "Hey, are you gonna be here? Hey, you gonna be here?" Like this could be a huge building block for UT, like to cover young kids coming up and maybe feature line. I'm like, let's go, come on.
Hey man, everybody needs a niche. There you go. Find it.
I
There you
love what
go.
I do, Deon. It's a lot of fun, and I get to, I get to do something that I enjoy, but I also get to do something that the kids enjoy. That I get to cover them going on to the next level. That's what I do for these kids. Is when I'm filming these kids for colleges, I recruit them, but I have connections with, like, for example, with you or with different people about if they want to play college basketball or play at the D1 level, they know who to contact, and I get them to that level.
Right. No, that's why you need to start building relationships with these coaches. And
Yes.
that's even more so that, hey, you get something, you jot it down, you just shoot it to them in an email. Then after that, it's not on you. But Ty, we're going to get ready to close this thing out.
Yep.
But what I'd like to do, and especially for you, and like I said, for Illini Nation, if you're down in Tyler's area, you want to cover you want to hear about the high school sports, you want to hear about some Illini basketball, find Tyler on his social media. And Ty, I'm going to give you the last minute here to address Illini Nation. And I would say, especially for those that are in your area, throw out how they can find you, how they can get in contact with you. And, because I'm sure they'd like to follow, especially those two kids, the 6'8" kid,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the 6'6" kid, seventh graders, and see what's going to be happening with them down the line. But go ahead, big fella. The last minute is yours.
Facebook, my name is Tyler Repking, TYLERREPKING. And then I also have a business page called Repking Media. My Instagram is Repking Media. No spaces or caps, just Repking Media. I have an Instagram, also Tyler Repking 31. My Twitter handle is at Repking TREP33, REPKING TREP 33. My Twitter that would be my Twitter. My Snapchat is T-Rep9, no spaces or caps. I also have a website, repkingmedia.com. And I believe that is all the social media outlets. And then my email is tylerrepking96@gmail.com. No spaces or caps. They can follow me. They can shoot me a message. I would prefer if you do message me, please text me first. My phone number is 217-690-9070. So because when I'm filming, I like to be I'm very focused on that, trying to do my job and be professional about it. So I have a lot of social media outlets to people, and I'd love to interact with people as much as I can, a way for me to build a bigger brand.
There you go. So, Illini Nation, as always, love that you guys joined us. Tyler, thank you, man. It's a lot of fun having you on. Looking to learn more about, the basketball in your area. I have to say, I don't follow high school as much as I did when I was coaching, of course, because I pay attention to what's happening on this level and try to keep a side eye on what's happening at the high school and younger levels, but more focused on the college level. But I appreciate you, man, for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Tell mom I said hi. Next time we got to get her to put her, her 2 cents in on what you do and how you do. No, but I want to say thank you to the Field of 68 Media. They cover and carry a line. They cover the country and the 68 best teams and programs with various podcasts. So if you have not checked in with the Field of 68, please do like and subscribe, because without them, you would not have Champagne on Ice. And if with that in mind, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please continue to press that subscribe button. Grab some other folks and introduce them to the pod as well. Again, if you have the ability to leave a comment on my Instagram, on my Instagram or Twitter, please do. If you have some suggestions of guests that you would like to see, always open for that as well. Please there as well. And last but not least, Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you so much for sponsoring this year's podcast. You have made this possible. Thank you. Peace.